Before we get into this video, I've got to say, YouTube don't like me. As per standard procedure these days, they waited 10 minutes after the video went live, despite it being uploaded privately for 24 hours beforehand, to age restrict it for some song lyrics, despite said song being uploaded on YouTube unage restricted. So I've gone through and lobotomized certain aspects of this video with the picture that you're seeing on the screen now, because they can't age restrict that. So like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Music festivals. They're very popular all over the world, and the same can be said here in Australia, on the odd chance that they actually go ahead. But here in Australia, we do things a little bit differently, and different's not always good. So in today's video, we'll be going through everything that you need to know about Australian music festivals, the different types, the gremlins that go to them, and of course some of the greatest music festival moments in Australian history. Anyway, that's enough waffle, let's get into it. Now before any music festival starts, they've got to of course announce the lineup, and festivals like Rolling Loud usually have a pretty hectic headliner or two, but of course you're forgetting that this is Australia, and that means absolutely nothing. They could put Jesus Christ as the headliner, and you'd have the same chance that he'd turn up as someone like Playboi Carti, and that's for one of three reasons. The first one usually being that the organisers couldn't organise in a which seems to be the case for Rolling Loud Australia. They've had one successful one in 2019, then they tried again in 2024, had to postpone it to 2026, and then a week before it was meant to go ahead, it was cancelled. Now look, I don't know who organised Rolling Loud or why it went up, but my theory is, due to the fact that they had Gunna as one of the headliners, they blew all their budget on food trucks and couldn't figure out a way to actually get people into the festival without removing food trucks, which would make Gunna pull out. Now the second reason is usually because of the government. These festivals will book a headliner, all will be well and good, and then when time comes for the artist to make it to Australia, the government will deny their visa. Some of these artists include people like Chris Brown and Kanye West, who were basically permanently banned from Australia due to their, well actually I don't know. And then of course you got people like Tyler the Creator, who got banned for 4 years I think, for having rude words in his songs. Then Skepta was banned for a couple years for punching on in Melbourne, and then Snoop Dogg was denied entry in 2007 for his extensive criminal history, but since then all these guys have been let back into Australia and held fairly successful concerts and shows, especially Snoop Dogg, who did the AFL Grand Final last year. Basically, the government puts you through a little character test, and if you got a clean criminal history and minimal controversy, they'll let you in. But if you say naughty words in your songs, have an extensive criminal history, or just crash out on Twitter 24/7 saying outrageous things, they probably won't let you in. Now these artists usually get booted out right before the shows are about to go ahead, leaving the organisers to scramble to try and replace their headliners. And then when they fill that spot with one of the buskers out the front of Flinders Street Station, and then 99% of people refund their tickets because the Blues Brothers are no longer performing, the festival usually goes up. And the third reason of course is just lack of ticket sales, because nobody wants to go to their shitty festival. But you see, some festivals don't even get to that point and are just completely banned from ever being able to be run again in Australia. Now as far as I'm aware, the only officially banned music festival is of course Defcon 1, after 2 people overdosed on Persian rugs, but it's not the only one that's been stopped because of this reason. One of the most infamous ones, Stereosonic, had the same thing happen, and because of it, the government tightened down on the regulations surrounding these festivals and made it very hard to be able to pull them off again. But there are still festivals around like this, however they're very heavily regulated, and there's usually just as many sniffer dogs at the front entrance than there are people attending. So next up we gotta get into one of the most important parts of any festival, smuggling in contraband. Now certain music festivals, especially hardstyle ones, the music's only enjoyable after about 30 disco bickies. And other festivals, you can't bring in your own alcohol, but you're forced to buy $20 cans at their own bars. So of course, people have to smuggle in their own goodies. Now there's many ways to do this, whether it's in your undies, in your prison suitcase. I mean, if you can think of a body part or a piece of clothing, if you can think of it, it's been done. So I think we'll leave it at that. There's also of course the people who pull apart their cars, take off door cards and fill them up with booze. I mean, it's not like the security's gonna strip your car for parts just to try and find a little bit of alcohol. But I see a lot of these on social media, and some people do get very creative. But my favourite technique, and probably the smartest of them all, is when people go to the location that the festival's taking place a couple weeks before they start setting up, dig a hole and bury their contraband. Then you can sail on through security, straight past the sniffer dogs, dig up your buried treasure and play on. However, it may be a little bit awkward if someone's already set up camp above the X marks the spot. But even then, you're not out of the woods, because you still got to deal with the undercovers. Now luckily, they're very easy to spot, but if you've you've been successful in your smuggling run, your mind may be elsewhere, so I'll tell you what to look out for. If you see two 40-year-old men wearing the entire smart casual Anko catalogue with earpieces, standing around, and obviously sober as a judge, paying more attention to the people in the crowd than the people on the stage, 99% of the time, you found yourself some Unjugazis, lad. So make sure to just stay away from them, and if you do come across them, just pull off a generational lock-in and you should be fine. Now next up we're going to talk about influencers, and the best part about a lot of these music festivals is that they hold them in the middle of nowhere, so there's no internet connection. Now I know I'm sort of throwing stones from a glass house here, but I wouldn't call myself an influencer, although I have had the flu. But last year they made the unfortunate decision to add 5G reception to the BTV festival, and that of course led to the Luke Bailey For You page rinse of 25. Now look, I cannot knock this bloke for the hustle at all, but if I wanted to stand around in a dusty field and not shower for 4 days, I would have bought my own tickets. I do the same thing at home anyway, minus the dusty field. But I still reminisce of the old days when I didn't used to get thumb cramps from skipping through people's Snapchat stories who decided they need to film every single second of a music festival when they could have just saved it to their camera roll. It was much better when everyone who went spam posted everything on the 2nd of January so that you only had to deal with it for 1 day instead of 4 or 5. Another thing about festivals that social media has, well, ruined is of course the doofstick. Now as far as I'm aware, the concept of a doofstick is to put a funny photo at the top of a pole, just something recognisable so that if you get lost you can easily find your friends again. However, over the years as the funny doofsticks get posted on social media and go semi-viral, more and more people have been making them, using the same unfunny mean jokes over and over again, to the point where every man and their dog has a doofstick that blocks everyone's view of the main stage and completely defeats the whole point of them. I mean, how on earth are you supposed to find your own group in this absolute sea of doofsticks where every second one is the same sports joke? Now, I'm not getting offended by this, I'm more of a sit in the backyard and listen to that new Lizzo album on the JBL speaker type of person, so this doesn't really affect me whatsoever, but I do find it kind of funny. The next thing that we're going to talk about, of course, is the weather. Now, since majority of music festivals are outdoors just to be able to fit all the people in, the weather is pretty important. If it's too hot, it gets uncomfortable, people get sunburnt, dehydrated, and in the worst case scenario, you can end up in hospital. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if it starts to piss down rain, you end up with a situation like Splendor in the Mud 2022. The rain was so severe that they couldn't let people into the festival grounds, causing people's cars to get bogged. The camping situation was, well, shit, and in the end they had to cancel all the acts of the first day because it was just so bad. But eventually they let people in, everyone got set up, but of course that didn't change the fact that the ground was absolutely saturated. And as this news report said, not even a box of pizza shapes could lighten the mood.
Not even a box of pizza shapes could brighten the mood.
But people decided to embrace it. Those who were late to the party decided to stop off and get gumboots on the way in. Other people just made their own makeshift ones, and eventually the mud became a centerpiece of the entire festival. Now, I can't imagine these people regretting their actions at all when it came time to sleep, but at least the festival still went ahead. They even had a VIP section with VIP mud. And obviously you can't account for weather that far out when you start planning a festival like this, so my advice of course would be to check the weather ahead of time and prepare yourself for the worst. Now next up I want to talk about the types of music festivals and the types of people that go to them. And obviously I can't do every single type of festival because I'd be here all week, but I'll go through the main ones that I see all over social media. And of course if I miss something, let me know in the comments. Now first up of course you got your BTVs and other sort of festivals similar to that. I see this one the most on social media and the news, and the attendees are usually the 18 to 21 year old crowd who are fresh out of high school or maybe even still in it, influencers, and yeah, pretty much just every annoying person that you went to high school with. The attire at BTV is pretty much just a fashion contest, whatever's trending, a lot of that Neo Vision and Mertra gear, and of course the copy and paste shorts and checkered shirt combo. From the outside looking in, it looks like people just go here so they can say they've been here and post it on social media. Some of the highlights of BTV include leaving all your camping shit out at the end for someone else to clean up, pinch and loaf in the dance dome, and spending 8 hours in a queue in 37 degrees just trying to leave the place. Next up of course we have the hardstyle festivals. The most common one that I see is of course Knockout in Sydney. The people that go include Eshays, Australia's entire Vietnamese community, and of course all the fitness fanatics. And in a lot of cases, the attendees of this festival are all three combined. The attire at these sort of festivals is of course TNs, short shorts, a shirt is optional, all clothing must be a sort of sporting brand or activewear, and finished off with an item from either Gucci or Louis Vuitton. Some of the highlights of these hardstyle festivals include successfully making it past the sniffer dogs and finding out that your tickets are actually valid and not a scam, and chewing the same piece of gum for 12 hours straight. Then of course you've got those hipster festivals, the ones out in the bush with all that weird freaky psychedelic music. These festivals are usually attended by bong heads, LSD enthusiasts, and of course hipsters. The attire at these festivals seem to be minimal clothing, and any clothing that you are wearing has to be a shade of brown. You gotta have the maximum amount of body hair that you can, and all deodorant will be sniffed out and confiscated by security upon entry. Some of the highlights of these hippie festivals include doing drugs and LARPing as Sassy the Sasquatch and this guy from Cars. Now, obviously there are other types of festivals in between, but these are like the biggest three that I see, but they've all got something in common, and that is that all these people love their D-shaped rugs. Anyway, I think that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy one of these too. Remember to like, subscribe, comment and share, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.